The moment he stepped back into the room, she felt the air change, slow, quiet, and strangely meaningful. Emma had just finished hosting a small gathering at her apartment. It was one of those cozy Friday evenings where people laughed loudly, then left quietly, taking the warmth of the night with them. Now the place was still. Empty cups on the counter, soft music fading in the background, only the low hum of the refrigerator filling the silence. She thought everyone had already gone home, but when she turned around, she saw him. Liam, the last person she expected to still be there. He stood near the doorway, with his jacket folded over his arm as if he had been waiting for the room to quiet down before speaking. His expression was calm, but there was something unusual in it, something she couldn't read. Emma smiled, trying to shake off the unexpected nerves. "I thought you left with the others," she said. Liam shook his head. "I stayed back," he replied softly. "I needed to talk to you, alone." Those words hit her harder than she expected, not because they sounded dramatic, but because they sounded intentional. She glanced around the apartment again. Every chair was empty, every light felt dimmer. Just the two of them now. Emma stepped closer, careful and slow. "What's going on?" she asked. Liam hesitated. For a moment, he looked like he was searching for the right words, the way someone does when they know the wrong ones could break something delicate. Then he finally said it. "I didn't want to leave tonight without telling you the truth." Her heartbeat stumbled. The truth? About what? But before she could ask, Liam looked away, his voice tightening just slightly. "I should have said this a long time ago," he murmured. "And I don't know what's going to happen when I do." Emma felt a strange tug in her chest, worry and hope mixing together in a way she couldn't separate. She took one small step closer. "Liam, what truth?" He lifted his eyes to hers again, and his next words hovered right on the edge of something she wasn't sure she was ready to hear. His voice dropped to a gentle whisper. "Emma, there's something you never knew about the night we first met." Her breath caught. Before he could continue, a sudden knock echoed from the hallway, breaking the moment in half, sharp, unexpected, and impossibly timed. Emma and Liam both turned toward the door. The truth would have to wait, and whatever he was about to confess hung in the air between them, warm and unfinished. The knock on the door felt like a cold wind cutting right through a warm moment, sudden, sharp, and completely unwanted. Emma froze, her hand hovering slightly in the air, as if she could push the sound away. Liam stepped back, his expression tightening, the words he had been holding slipping out of reach. Neither of them moved at first. Then the knock came again, softer this time, but still enough to press on the moment, like a reminder that the night wasn't done with them yet. Emma whispered, "Who could that be? Everyone left." Liam shook his head. "I don't know. Do you want me to check?" She hesitated. There was something vulnerable in his face. He looked like someone who had finally gathered every bit of courage he had, only to lose the timing. Still, she nodded. "Yeah, let's see who it is." They crossed the living room together, the quiet between them heavier than before. Emma reached the door slowly, almost cautiously, and opened it just a small crack. A woman stood on the other side. Older than Emma, elegant, composed in a way that made her presence feel intentional. Her expression softened when she saw Emma. "I'm so sorry to come this late," the woman said gently. "I'm looking for Liam." Emma's eyes widened. She turned to glance at him, confusion stretching across her face. Liam stepped forward, the surprise unmistakable in his expression. "Mrs. Hale, what are you doing here?" The woman smiled faintly, though her eyes carried something heavier. I needed to speak with you. It couldn't wait until morning. Emma felt a small twist in her stomach, not jealousy, but worry. It was clear this woman wasn't just anyone. She stepped back to let them inside. Mrs. Hale walked in with careful grace, her eyes quietly scanning the apartment. You had guests tonight, she noted with a polite smile. I hope I didn't interrupt anything. Emma and Liam exchanged an awkward glance. Not at all, Emma said softly, even though that wasn't exactly true. Mrs. Hale turned to Liam again. Her voice dropped to a more serious tone. It's about the letter. Liam's face changed instantly, a flash of shock, concern, and something Emma couldn't recognize. His breath left him in a slow, uneven exhale. You read it? He asked. Mrs. Hale nodded. I did. And after what I learned, I knew I had to come speak with you right away. Emma watched him carefully, her heart tightening. A letter? What letter? Liam rubbed the back of his neck, looking suddenly overwhelmed, as if a truth he'd tried to keep contained had just cracked open. Mrs. Hale reached into her handbag and pulled out a small folded envelope. She placed it gently on the coffee table. Emma's gaze dropped to it, feeling the weight of a secret she didn't understand yet. Liam exhaled deeply. Emma, I was going to explain everything tonight. Her voice came out quiet, almost a whisper. Explain what, Liam? He looked at her with eyes full of a confession he'd been holding far too long. I didn't just stay behind tonight to talk, he said softly. There's something in that letter you need to know too. Emma felt her heartbeat rise, not in fear, but in anticipation. Something important was inside that envelope, something personal, something connected to him, and now to her. Mrs. Hale stepped back, giving them space, but her presence still filled the room. Emma looked from the letter to Liam, waiting. Liam took a careful breath, and with a trembling hand, he reached for the envelope. The moment Liam touched the envelope, Emma felt the room shift, as if every sound, every breath, every heartbeat had paused to listen. He held it gently, almost respectfully, like it carried the kind of truth a person doesn't open without preparing their heart first. Emma swallowed. What's in it? She asked softly. Liam didn't answer right away. He glanced at Mrs. Hale, who gave him a small, encouraging nod. It's your choice, Liam, she said quietly, but she deserves to know. Emma's chest tightened. She wasn't sure if she was ready, but she knew she needed to hear it. Liam sat down on the couch and motioned for Emma to sit beside him. She did, slowly, feeling the distance between them shrink in a way that felt both comforting and frightening. He opened the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper, folded neatly. Liam unfolded it with steady hands, though Emma could see the tension in the way his fingers tremble at the edges. He stared at the page for a moment before speaking. This is the letter I wrote to my father 8 months ago, he said, the night he left town. Emma's eyes widened. She had heard bits and pieces about Liam's father, a complicated past, long silences, and goodbyes that never felt complete. But she had never known there was a letter. Liam continued, his voice gentle. I never sent it. I kept it hidden, and Mrs. Hale found it while helping my mother clean the old house. Mrs. Hale stepped forward slightly. Her voice was warm, understanding. I didn't read it out of curiosity, she said. I opened it because I thought it was a misplaced document, but once I saw Liam's handwriting, I knew it wasn't meant for me. Still, the words inside, she paused, they matter, especially tonight. Emma looked back at Liam, her heart pressing against her ribs. What did you write? She whispered. Liam took a slow breath and turned the letter toward her. I wrote about the night we first met, he said, and what I realized that night. Emma felt the world blur slightly around the edges. He looked down at the paper again. His voice softened as he began to read. I met someone tonight, someone who made me feel like I could start over, like the mistakes I made didn't have to decide the rest of my life. I don't know her well yet, but something about her feels like the beginning of everything I've been afraid to hope for. Emma's breath caught. Liam paused, eyes glistening with a quiet emotion he didn't try to hide. That someone, he said gently, turning toward her, was you. Emma's hand flew to her mouth. Her eyes filled instantly, soft, warm tears she didn't see coming. He continued reading. I don't know what she'll become to me, but I want to be better for her. I want to be the kind of person she wouldn't be ashamed to know. Maybe one day I'll tell her. Maybe I won't. His voice trembled on the last words. Emma could barely speak. Liam, why didn't you tell me sooner? He looked down, the truth unraveling from his expression. Because I didn't think I deserved to, he said quietly. And because there's one more part of this letter. Emma's heart dropped gently, like a feather, falling but not yet landing. Liam held the page out, showing the final lines, ones he hadn't read aloud. Emma leaned closer. And when her eyes reached the last sentence, her breath slipped away in a soft, stunned silence. She looked at him quickly, her voice catching. Liam, this part, what does it mean? Liam swallowed hard. That, he whispered, is the part I was afraid to explain. His voice faded, warm and uncertain, and the room seemed to lean in around them, waiting for the truth that still remained. Emma stared at the final line of the letter, the words soft but sharp enough to stop her breath in its tracks. Liam didn't move. He watched her carefully, almost bracing himself, as if her reaction mattered more than anything he had expected tonight. Emma read the line again in a whisper. I'm afraid she'll walk away if she ever learns the real reason I came back. Her eyes lifted to his, steady and searching. Liam, what does that mean? He took a long breath. Mrs. Hale stepped back toward the doorway, giving them distance, though her expression held quiet empathy. Liam folded the letter gently and held it between his hands. I didn't come back to this town for work, he said softly. And I didn't come back to reconnect with old friends. Emma's pulse quickened. What did bring you back? Liam looked down at the floor for a moment, gathering the courage he had been running out of all night. When my father left, he began, he didn't just walk away from us. He left behind something he had promised to fix, something he had once said only I would know how to make right if he didn't. Emma felt a tightness in her chest. What was it? Liam's voice softened, thick with emotion. He owed someone an apology, a real one, the kind that can't be spoken, only lived. Emma blinked, confused. Lived? Liam nodded. The night I met you, I was supposed to meet someone else, someone my father hurt years ago. I came back to deliver his message, his apology. He paused. But the person he wronged had already moved away. I never found them. Emma's brows furrowed gently. So, you stayed? Liam nodded again, slower this time. I stayed because I thought maybe I could do something meaningful here, fix what he broke, build something honest. But then, his voice lowered, I met you, and everything felt different. Emma felt her breath soften. Her chest warmed with an emotion she wasn't sure how to name. He continued, his voice tender. You didn't know me. You didn't know what my father did. You just saw me as I was. I hadn't felt that in years. He finally looked up at her. But that's also why I was terrified, because I knew if I told you the full truth, Why I came back, what I was trying to repair, you might think I was only here to bury a painful past, not build a future with someone. Emma's heart twisted gently at his words. And the person your father hurt, she whispered, it wasn't me, was it? Liam shook his head quickly. No, never. It had nothing to do with you. But meeting you made me want to become better than what I came from, better than the shadow he left behind. Emma felt her shoulders relax, the tension easing slowly. She wasn't angry. She wasn't hurt. She was just overwhelmed by the depth of what he carried. Liam watched her carefully. There's more, he said quietly. One last thing I didn't put in the letter, something I didn't understand until tonight. Emma leaned in slightly, her voice barely above a whisper. What is it? Liam hesitated, but this time it wasn't fear, it was tenderness. When I stayed after everyone left tonight, he said softly, it wasn't because of the letter. It was because I couldn't walk out of this apartment without telling you what you've meant to me since the night we met. Emma's breath trembled. He exhaled, steady and sincere. I think I've been falling for you since that first night, Emma. Her chest tightened with warmth, a soft, startled ache. But before she could respond, Mrs. Hale stepped forward with a gentle urgency. Liam, she said softly, there is one thing I didn't tell you yet, something your mother asked me to deliver, tonight. Emma and Liam both looked up. Mrs. Hale held out a small sealed card, different from the letter, new, unopened. Liam froze. That's my mother's handwriting, he whispered. Mrs. Hale nodded. She asked me to give this to you when the moment felt right. Liam reached for it slowly. Emma's heart pounded as she watched his fingers touch the envelope. Whatever was inside, it was meant for this exact moment. Liam glanced at Emma, then back at the card. He opened it. And as his eyes read the first sentence, his face changed. Shock, emotion, and something that looked almost like disbelief spreading across his expression. Emma leaned closer, her voice careful and soft. Liam, what does it say? He swallowed hard, barely able to speak. It says, she wants me to tell you everything. Because you're the person she hopes will stay. The words slipped into the room like sunlight, and Emma felt her breath stop, quiet, warm, and full of meaning she wasn't ready to name. The room felt impossibly still, the kind of stillness that comes right before something honest and life-shifting finally rises to the surface. Liam held the card like it was both fragile and anchoring. Emma watched him, her heart warm and unsteady all at once. Mrs. Hale stepped back toward the doorway, her expression soft. I'll give you two a moment, she said gently. Then she quietly let herself out, leaving the apartment in a tender, trembling quiet. Emma's eyes stayed on Liam. What did your mother mean? She asked. Liam took a slow breath, reading the lines again before speaking. She wrote, he paused, his voice growing thick. Liam, when you find someone who makes you feel safe enough to be honest, truly honest, don't let fear decide for you. Tell her the whole truth. She deserves the version of you that doesn't hide. Emma felt her heart soften as he continued. I hope one day, when she reads this with you, she'll know she was the reason I believed you could start over. He lowered the card slightly. She knew, he whispered. She knew how I felt, even before I understood it myself. Emma reached out, her fingers brushing his hand in a soft, steady touch. Liam, she said gently, start from the beginning, the real beginning. He nodded, gathering himself. The night we met, he began, I was lost. I didn't say it then, but I had just found out my father wasn't coming back. Not for a long time, maybe not ever. He paused. I came back to this town angry, confused, trying to fix something I didn't break. Emma squeezed his hand, listening. And then, he said softly, you walked into that cafe, and for the first time in months, I felt calm. Like I wasn't carrying everything alone anymore. Emma's breath caught. You don't have to carry it alone, she whispered. Not anymore. Liam looked at her, eyes shining in a way that told her he believed her, maybe for the first time. There's one more thing, he added quietly. The reason I stayed behind tonight, the reason I couldn't leave with everyone else. Emma's pulse fluttered. What reason? He set the letter and the card aside, turning fully toward her. I didn't want another night to pass without telling you the truth. He exhaled softly. The truth is, you've changed me. You've made me want to be better, to be honest, to let someone in again. Emma felt her eyes warm. And I'm not here just to fix what my father left behind, he said. I'm here because being near you feels like finally stepping into the life I was afraid to hope for. A quiet, emotional silence settled around them. Then Liam added, barely above a whisper, Emma, I care about you, more deeply than I ever expected to. Emma's voice trembled softly as she answered, I care about you too, Liam, and I'm not going anywhere. His expression broke into the gentlest, most relieved smile she had ever seen on him. Slowly, carefully, he took her hands. Are you sure? He whispered. She nodded, her eyes steady on his. I'm sure, she said, and whatever your past holds, it doesn't change how I see you. Liam's breath left him in a warm, shaking exhale. A weight lifted, one he had been holding for far too long. He leaned in, forehead touching hers in a quiet, tender moment that felt like the beginning of something real. No fear, no hiding, just two hearts finally meeting in the open. Outside, the hallway was silent. Inside, the soft lamp glow wrapped around them like a promise. Emma closed her eyes, letting the moment settle gently in her chest. And Liam whispered the final truth he had been holding. I'm here, Emma, not because of what I lost, but because of what I found. Her heart answered without words, steady, warm, and full. A beginning, a home, a hope neither of them expected, but both of them were ready to choose.